Now, for most of these state and county public health officials, their big excitement every year is maybe recording, I don't know, a PSA for hand washing during the flu season. Well, for more than a year, they've been C-list celebrities, and people's lives rise or fall on their every word. That's real power, and they got drunk on it. Last summer, we told you about Dr. Travis Gayles, the health officer of Montgomery County, Maryland, a wealthy D.C. suburb. Now, without any warning, he issued a blanket order last July closing all private and independent schools for in-person learning starting in the fall. The positivity rate for COVID at the time was a paltry 2.3% in that county. Well, the Angle and others jumped on the issue, lawsuits were prepared, and ultimately Gayles had to back down. Just another so-called expert issuing arbitrary orders to keep himself relevant and to protect his public school allies. Well, now courtesy of a public records request from the Washington Examiner, we have the emails between Gayles and his band of liberal county control freaks, which shows their utter contempt for the people who pay their salaries. Now, when a taxpayer and a mother of a child at a private school wrote to him requesting specific benchmarks for schools to reopen, he forwarded her email to colleagues, writing only, "the arrogance." Then his deputy health officer, James Bridgers, echoed back, "absolute arrogance and privilege." Now, he left out the word white, but the sentiment was clear. "The privileged class of the county is showing their behinds," wrote Gayles in yet another exchange. Again, he's talking about parents who just want their kids in school. During a virtual press conference, Washington Examiner reporter Tim Carney pressed Gayles about his nasty comments. Watch the good doctor squirm.
Thank you for your question, Tim. I'd be happy to follow up with you after this. MPIA requests are able to take emails out of context and cast a light in terms of how you'd like to print your story.
What? That guy's in charge of public health? Was there an actual sentence in there somewhere? It was totally embarrassing.
Thank you, but I'm not taking anything out of context. I've shared the screen. I don't know if that's visible. It's the entire email exchange is here.
But again, facts don't matter to the COVID Klingons. The fall showed that private schools, which ultimately did open for in-person learning, weren't vectors for any major COVID outbreaks, and schools were creative and careful. Meanwhile, public schools, they dug their heels in and stayed shut. Still to this day, for no scientific reason whatsoever, only 40% of Montgomery County school children are actually in class. That's only not even 5 days a week. And the county's chief COVID propagandist, Mark Elrich, is proud of his forward thinking.
This is likely not the last pandemic we're going to see. Viruses continue to mutate. This is no reason to believe this is going to end. We already see within COVID multiple strains of COVID that have different levels of effectiveness when it comes to the vaccine. The world that we envision is going to be a little bit different and a little bit more dangerous.
The world that he envisions. Well, even as so many children suffered in virtual learning hell, federal apparatchiks kept giving cover to the teachers' unions to justify the closures. And even when there's good news in COVID land, and there is now, it always comes with an asterisk.
Although we are seeing progress in terms of decreased cases, hospitalizations, and deaths, variants are a wild card that could reverse this progress we have made and could set us back.
Could. That's precisely what they seem to be hoping for, right? That the old normal is set back, permanently retired, in order to get to a new normal where we travel less, consume less, and just sit back and follow government orders.